Hey there guys, I'm Renee. I am the owner and artist behind Chicly Reclaimed Decor, and welcome back to another tutorial. Today I'm going to take you through the process of how to distress a mirror. This antiquing technique will give any mirror an authentic vintage aged appearance, and we'll be using IOD paint inlays to achieve that floral hand-painted look, as well as showing how I redesigned the frame using molds and a variety of distressing techniques to achieve this cracked and chippy paint look. So if that is something you're interested in learning, stick around because that is what I'll be going over today. So after removing the glass from the wood frame, I'm going to use Citrus Strip paint stripper to remove the backing on this mirror. You need gloves and a brush that you can just throw away, and I like to lay down a towel, and plastic bags will make for easy cleanup. I'm going to brush on a pretty thick and even layer of this paint stripper on the back, and then I like to cover it really well with plastic wrap. This will help to keep it from drying out, especially if you live in a drier, warmer climate. After an hour or so, I came back and I removed the plastic. I got really lucky this time and most of the paint came off with the plastic, but I'm going to use a plastic tool, not a metal, because you can scratch the glass. So using a plastic to scrape the remaining backing off, and then I'm just going to clean it up with water. Are you new to the channel today? And are you interested in more DIY content? Then please be sure to like, comment, subscribe, and hit that notification bell so you can be notified when I upload new tutorials. Okay, so for the next step, I'm going to be using undiluted bleach to distress this reflective mirror backing. I used a spray bottle and added the bleach mainly around the edges of the mirror, and I'm going for kind of a distressed frame around this mirror with some age spots in the middle. I added the first layer of bleach and let it sit for about 10 minutes. Then I used paper towels to soak up the bleach solution. I'm using full strength bleach because I have found that with newer mirrors, this technique just works better. On older antique mirrors that I've done, I've used a 3-to-1 ratio of water to bleach, and it worked perfectly. Straight bleach would have just been too much, so I definitely recommend doing a test on a small section first to see what's going to give you the best results with the mirror that you're using. I recommend removing the mirror backing a little at a time, because remember that you can always come back and remove more of the mirror backing, but you can't add it once it's been removed. I then sprayed one more layer of bleach, again focusing on the edges. I want a lot of the mirror backing removed in this area, so that way the majority of the floral paint inlays that we will be laying down here in just a bit will show through but appear chipped to match the overall look. After that second layer of bleach had sat for 10 minutes, again I soaked it up with a towel, and then I cleaned the entire back of this mirror with water. Next up, for that floral hand-painted look, we'll be adding these Iron Orchid Designs paint inlays to the reverse side of the mirror. If you've heard of reverse stamping, it's very similar. And I'm just going to start by cutting out these inlays so they create a floral border design. These inlays are real water-based paint that you embed in either wet paint, or in this case, we'll be using a clear water-based top coat by Couture. You will need a misting bottle, a top coat of your choice, and a sponge to press the inlays down with. You need to mist the paint side of your inlay and then brush on a thick layer of top coat where you want your design to go. Next, lay down your wet inlay paint side down, mist with water, and carefully pat in place with the sponge. This was a bit difficult because the surface of this mirror was slick, but just hold the inlay down with one hand and gently press with the other. Take your time, no need to rush during this step. And as I'm going along, I'm making sure to wipe off any excess top coat that may be on the mirror with a wet towel or paper towel. Once the inlays had time to dry, about a couple hours later, I came back to remove them. You will need to mist your inlays and then slowly peel them off, working from one side to the other. If at any point you feel the inlays resisting you, just mist it again with water and then resume the process. For the last step here, I'm going to use a dark color, in this case Carbon by Couture, to paint the back. I'm going to paint right over these paint inlays. And I did top coat after I was done with this step as well. And you don't have to use black per se, you can use a brown rust type color. I've even done a blend of colors on the back with metallic accents. It just really depends on the look that you would like. And here are the results after we were done antiquing and then adding IOD floral paint inlays to this mirror. Next up for the wood frame, I started by sanding off the majority of the old paint and texture. I started with an 80 grit and then I moved to a 220 so I could have a nice smooth finish. I am not worried about sanding it completely off because you're not going to be able to see all of this wood frame later on. I'm going to be using a variety of iFlex wood products to redesign this mirror with these 3D wood accents. I'm using these molds in particular for two reasons. One, they become flexible when heated, so I know I can easily wrap them around this curved frame. And two, because they are stainable. I'm going to be staining them a rich brown color along with the wood frame, and then I'm going to use a variety of paint resists and other distressing techniques to make it look like the paint is distressed and chipping off to reveal the wood frame underneath. But if you just wanted to create an ornate stained wood piece, iFlex wood products would work great for that look too, as you'll see here in just a bit. I'm going to start by heating these molds up so they have a bit of flex to them, and then I'm going to add a thin and even layer of my go-to glue, Titebond Quick and Thick, to the back. Then I'm going to press them in place and wipe off any excess glue with a wet paintbrush. These molds are easily customizable, so you can heat them up and cut them to fit your design, as I did for this project. I then followed that same process to glue all these molds in place, and for the floral vines, I taped them down after gluing to keep their shape after I had wrapped them around the curved edge on this frame. After the glue has had time to fully dry, we are going to be using Couture Paint's water-based glaze as a wood stain. I'm going to brush on a nice even layer of this product onto the wood frame and then dab it onto the iFlex wood molds. I'm not going to remove any of this glaze, I'm just going to let it soak into the wood molds and the wood itself. Hence why it's really important to brush on a nice thin even layer of this product. I'm going to be painting this piece with this beautiful green Autumn Sage by Couture Paint. This is part of their chalk style line of paint. But before we do that, we are going to be using salt wash and wax as paint resist to achieve a chippy, distressed paint look. I'm going to start by sprinkling the salt wash texture powder over the wood frame. The heavier you lay down this salt wash, the chippier your paint will appear. Then once you're done, you need to wet down this product with a misting bottle. As this dries, it will become hard, and these areas will act as a resist to prevent the paint from adhering to your project. I absolutely love using salt wash to achieve a milk paint type chipping effect. Once that has had time to dry, I'm going to be using this wax by Unicone Art as another type of paint resist. I'm going to wipe this wax on the edges here and there, and this again will prevent the paint from sticking to my design. These are two great ways to add a chippy, distressed look to your painted piece. So now we are officially ready to paint. Remember to stir your product thoroughly before you begin, and I'm going to be using a nice round brush by Cristana of Bella Renovari. I'm going to be gently dabbing this paint over top of the wood frame, and then I'm going to do some dry brushing over these molds to give them a layered look and to bring out all the intricate carved details. Once dry, I'm going to remove the wax by rubbing over the areas where I added it earlier, and then I scraped off the salt wash. Once you wipe your surface off afterwards, you can really see the chippy, distressed paint effects come to life. I also did some wet distressing on this frame to further enhance the distressed look, but that is completely optional and up to you. Next, I'm going to add a crackle effect to further age this design using Paint Couture Paint's 2-part crackle, starting with their step 1 crackle size. I added a thick layer of this product here along the corner and on other random areas on this frame. If you want a thicker, more pronounced crack, you need to add a thick layer of this product. But if you're going for fine line cracks, then you'll need to apply a thin amount. After 30 minutes to an hour, it becomes tacky to the touch, and that is when you can brush on your crackle step 2, right over top of where you added the step 1. Once fully dry, I dabbed the same Amber Honey Glaze by Paint Couture we used earlier over the top of the crackle. Then I just wiped it back. You can leave on or take off as much of this product as you would like. This step will further age this freshly painted piece, as well as bring out all that amazing crackle. And I finally top coated the entire frame for a lasting paint finish. Thanks so much for watching, guys. I hope you enjoyed this tutorial where I shared with you how to antique a mirror and how to add a hand-painted look using IOD floral paint inlays, as well as how you can use salt wash and wax as a paint resist to distress the paint finish, and how you can use crackle and glaze to further age a design. Again, I'm Renee. I'm the owner and artist behind Chicly Reclaimed Decor, and if you liked this video today and you're interested in more DIY content, then please be sure to subscribe to my channel so you can be notified when I upload new tutorials. And I hope I've inspired you to pick up a paintbrush and do a little creating of your very own